So in river basin, we'll discuss about this thing. First of all, catchment or basin, then stream types, stream pattern, channel pattern, then descriptions of the basin. And first of all, what is the catchment or the river basin? The area from where a river gets its water. This is called the catchment or river basin. So this is the catchment boundary from the side B. This is the catchment boundary, and for the site A, this is the catchment boundary. Total this area is the catchment area or the river basin. The topographical map showing the catchment area. This is the topographical map which shows the catchment area. Then stream type. It can be permanent stream. So streams which flow throughout the year. This is called the permanent stream. And intermediate streams, streams whose sources of water periodically falls, can be spring fed or surface fed. This can be spring fed or surface fed. And ephemeral streams, streams which flow only in response to the precipitation. This is the ephemeral streams. Then consequent streams এর মধ্যে যেটা আছে সেটা হচ্ছে streams that follow certain courses as a result of initial depressions in land or slopes that attended the stream, সেটাকে বলা হচ্ছে stream consequent stream. তো ফার্স্ট অফ অল stream টাইপের মধ্যে যেটা আছে সেটা হচ্ছে পার্মানেন্ট stream হতে পারে, ইন্টারমিডিয়েট স্ট্রিম হতে পারে, এফিমেরাল স্ট্রিমস হতে পারে, দেন কনসিকুয়েন্ট স্ট্রিমস এখান থেকে হতে পারে। দেন তারপর নেক্সটে যেটা আছে, নেক্সটে হচ্ছে কি সাবসিকুয়েন্ট স্ট্রিমস, অবসিকুয়েন্ট স্ট্রিমস, এন্ড দেন তার সাথে হচ্ছে কি অ্যান্টিসিডেন্ট স্ট্রিমস, এগুলো এখান থেকে আছে। তো তাহলে এখান থেকে সাবসিকুয়েন্ট স্ট্রিম যেটা, সাবসিকুয়েন্ট স্ট্রিমটা কি, সাবসিকুয়েন্ট স্ট্রিমস হুইচ কাট থ্রু the uptilted beds in folded regions is the subsequent stream. Streams which cut through the uptilted beds in folded region সেটাকে বলা হয় থাকে subsequent stream বলা হয় থাকে। দেন তারপরে হচ্ছে কি obsequent streams এর মধ্যে যেটা আছে, streams which have developed in certain positions, streams which have developed in certain positions by adjustment to rock structure, positions by adjustment to rock structure, সেটাকে বলা যায় obsequent streams। and antecedent streams এর মধ্যে যেটা আছে সেটা হচ্ছে streams which retain its course despite obstructions provided by the geographical process, সেটাকে বলা থাকে antecedent streams বলা থাকে। stream types এর মধ্যে যেটা আছে সেটা হচ্ছে কি perennial or permanent river এখানে হতে পারে। দেন তারপরে এখানে ইন্টারমিডিয়েট অর সিজনাল রিভার এখান থেকে হতে পারে। দেন তারপরে হচ্ছে স্ট্রিম প্যাটার্নস এর মধ্যে দিয়ে দেখে তখন সেক্ষেত্রে ফ্রম ইটস সোর্স এই রিভার ফ্লোস ডাউন হিলে আসলে ফ্লো করে থাকে, এন্ড দিস ইজ বিকজ অফ দ্য আর্থস গ্র্যাভিটি কারণে এটা হয়ে থাকে। দেন তারপরে স্মল টিকেলস অফ ওয়াটার জয়েন আপ টু ফর্ম এ স্টিম, and the amount of water in the stream increases steadily as more streams called the tributaries. So tributaries means the amount of water in the stream increases steadily as more streams called the tributaries join it, and eventually the stream becomes big enough to be a river. And a drainage basin is the land that supplies water to the river and its tributaries. And if you could look down on a river from above, you would see its branches. If you could look down on a river from above, you would see its branches. Then it is called the drainage pattern. This is also called the drainage pattern. So drainage so তাহলে স্ট্রিম প্যাটার্নটা কি জিনিস, তাহলে স্ট্রিম প্যাটার্নটা হচ্ছে ফ্রম ইটস সোর্স রিভার ফ্লোস ডাউন হিল, and this is because earth's gravity, small trickles of water joins up to form a stream. The amount of water in the stream increases steadily as the stream as more streams. This is called the tributaries and join it, and eventually the stream becomes big enough to be a river. And a drainage basin is the land that supplies water to the river and its tributaries, and if you could look down on the river from above, you would see its branches, and it is called the drainage pattern. Then dendritic patterns are the random orientation of channels that spread like trees. Then dendritic patterns are the random orientations of channels. Okay, so dendritic patterns are random orientations of channels that spread like trees. Then trellis in trellis pattern, primary tributaries join the main streams at right angle, and the secondary tributaries parallel to the main stream. In trellis pattern, primary tributaries join the main stream at right angle, and the secondary tributaries parallel to the main stream. This is the trellis. Then radial drainage pattern develop in the isolated topographic upland that inflow outward from center of their origin. Volcanoes and domes may display this pattern. So this is called the radial. And then the subparallel. This is the subparallel figure of subparallel. Then this is the parallel figure. Then rectangular drainage pattern from a perpendicular net with two directions equally developed when the faults or joints are the main controlling factor. And these channels are the characteristics of rocks of uniform resistance cut by the perpendicular joint sets. Then this is the rectangular shape. Then the annual patterns is developed when the streams form in weaker strata of a dome mountain. This is the annual pattern is developed when the stream form in weaker strata of a dome mountain. This is called the annual. And পিনান্ট যেটা আছে পিনান্টের মধ্যে যেটা সেটা হচ্ছে Pinant pattern develops when all the main streams run in one direction and with the tributaries joining them at a oblique angle. So Pinant pattern develops when all the main streams run in one direction and with the tributaries joining them at oblique angle. So this is called the Pinant. And straight this is, and then this is the Bryden river, but this is not clear here. Picture we are not seeing here. So braided river, then the meandering river, we can zigzag shape we can see here. Then description of the basin. Descriptions of the basins first of all is area. Area is the area of the basin is defined as the area of the closed curve which is obtained by projecting the catchment boundary on a horizontal plane. The area of a basin is defined as the area of the closed curve which is obtained by projecting the catchment boundary on a horizontal plane. Then stream ordering is stream order is a classification reflecting the degree of the branching or bifurcation of the stream channels within a basin. Stream order is a classification reflecting the degree of branching or bifurcation of the stream channels within a basin. Then what is then this is the drainage density. Drainage density is the ratio of the total length of all orders of the stream within the basins to the basin area. মানে এখানে যেটা ডিডি দিয়ে এটাকে আসলে ডিনোট করা হয়ে থাকে, তো ডিডি মানে হচ্ছে কি এখানে যে সামেশন এল মানে হচ্ছে এখানে যে টোটাল লেন্থ যেটা আছে লেন্থ বাই হচ্ছে কি টোটাল যেটা বেসিন এরিয়া সেটা হচ্ছে আমার ড্রেনেজ ডেনসিটি বা এখান থেকে ডিডি বলা হয়ে থাকে। আচ্ছা দেন তারপরে হচ্ছে স্টিম ডেনসিটি যেটা আছে স্টিম ডেনসিটি ডিএস বলা হয়ে থাকে। স্টিম ডেনসিটি ইজ দ্য রেশিও অফ দ্য নাম্বার অফ স্টিমস, সেটাকে বলা হচ্ছে এনএস টু দ্য এরিয়া অফ দ্য বেসিন এ। সো ডিএস ইকুয়াল টু এনএস বাই এ is the steam density. Then the length is the measured length along the main stream from the catchment outlet A to the remotest point of the catchment boundary B. So length is a measured length along the main stream from the catchment outlet A to the remotest point on the catchment boundary B. So this is called the length. Then the relief is the maximum basin. The maximum basin relief is the elevation difference between the basin outlet and the highest point of the basin, usually expressed in meters. Relief is the maximum basin relief is the elevation difference between the basin outlet and the highest point on the basin, usually expressed in meter. So this is called the relief. Then the slope it can be obtained by dividing the difference between the elevation of the highest point on the basin and the basin outlet by the distance between the 2 points. And if the distance between the 2 points A and B 5 km and the difference between the elevation A and B is 5 meter, then the slope is 5 meter by 5 km, so it's 1 meter by kilometer. So slope is obtained by dividing the distance between the elevation of the highest point on the basin and the basin outlet of the distance between the 2 points. And if the distance between the 2 points A and B is 5 km, then the difference between the elevation A and B is 5 meter and the slope is 5 meter by 5 km or 1 meter by 1 km. This can be the slope.